All right, we're going. All right. How you doing, kiddos? As I said, I've told you in class, I was going to do one more lecture this week, and we're going to be talking about the first half of the chapter on the heart, the cardiovascular system. And so we're going to be covering the heart, and I want to talk. You have to sort of learn the basics of the heart, and then you need to have a little bit of time to digest that, and then we'll talk about the second half of the heart after spring break, after you've sort of internalized all of this stuff about the various parts and pieces and parts of the heart. First of all, the heart has 4 chambers. We have 2 atria and we have 2 ventricles. And atria receive blood and ventricles pump blood. So, my first rhetorical question to you, I'm not really expecting an answer because, well, I'm sitting here by myself. But anyway, my first thought question to you is why 4 chambers? What's going on there? We had said atria receive blood and ventricles pump blood. And we have 2 atria that are receiving blood and 2 ventricles, pumps. And so the question is, what is going on? And let me now go on and say, before I go into explaining the answer, I'm going to say, well, how does the heart contract? And there's a sort of a standard set of sounds that we apply to the heartbeat, and it's lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. And so what is going, and the heart is, of course, made of cardiac muscle. So with all of that information, we can say that the heart pumps from the top down first, lub, and from the bottom up, dub. So we receive blood in the 2 atria, it gets pushed down into the 2 ventricles, and then the 2 ventricles pump simultaneously. And so again, I say, why do we have 2 pumps? Well, it ends up that the right side of the heart is dedicated to pumping blood to the lungs. And so the blood is going to be returning to the right atrium. It's going to make its way down into the right ventricle. And so then when the dub happens and the 2 ventricles pump, the right ventricle is going to be pumping to the right and left lungs. Now, then we'd said we have the left side of the heart. It's going to be receiving the blood from the lungs, and it's going to be then pushing the blood down into the left ventricle, and the left ventricle is going to be then pumping the blood systemically, and that means throughout the body. And one other place, we actually have 3 circuits, 3 blood flows. And I've mentioned 2 of them, right? I'd said you have the blood flow to the lungs, that would be the pulmonary circuit. And then we had said we have the blood flow throughout your body, and that would be the systemic circuit. So what's left? Blood flow to the heart, coronary circuit. So we the blood deoxygenate, and what is the function of blood? Well, blood is all about carrying oxygen. Other things as well, but in terms of what will kill you the fastest, it's going to be lack of oxygen. And so you could easily argue that the most important function, they're all important, but the most important function is to transport oxygen throughout the body and to all parts of the body. So we had said you get deoxygenated blood that is going to be coming in, and then we're going to reoxygenate it, and we pump it throughout. Okay, let me see. I'm going to flip my slide. Okay, so when we focus in on the heart, when we come back the week after spring break, and it's Friday before spring break right now, when we come back, what we're going to be doing in lab is we're going to be dissecting hearts. And so you're going to be seeing all this stuff that I'm going to be talking about in the week when we come back. And just to give you a heads up on the timing of things, what we'll find is we have 2 more lectures, right, before exam 2. The one I'm doing right now and the one that I will do Monday. So that means the week we come back, you'll be doing a lab on the heart, and then the next week in lab, at the beginning of lab, you will be taking an exam and then doing a lab after that. So exam 2, I've been going back and forth over this, but I thought, no, I don't want to do the last lecture and say to one group, my Wednesday group, you've only got 2 days to watch that to take a test. So exam 2 will be postponed a week, and then the week after you take that, you will have available to you the midterm. And so what I think I'll do is I'll try to get those exams back to you very rapidly, so that you can get ready. Anyway, we'll worry about that. It just gets more and more complicated every time I think about it. So I don't know why I got into that in the middle of this lecture. Anyway, all right, so when we talk about the heart, we have the muscle of the heart. Heart is made of muscle. It's made of cardiac muscle. And so the myocardium of the heart is the muscle. Myo means muscle. And we have a layer of connective tissue around the outside, which is the epicardium. And then inside of these chambers, the 4 chambers of the heart and lining valves in there, we're going to have endocardium. Epicardium's on the outside of the heart. On the inside of the heart, we have endocardium. Okay. The pathway of the blood through the heart. I'm going to walk you through this, and I'm going to draw on the board as I go through this, and it's going to get really messy, and there's nothing I can do about that. So we're going to start out. We have the blood flow to and from the heart, and I'm going to start out with deoxygenated blood, which is blue in color. And so we're going to have the superior and inferior vena cava are going to be bringing blood into the right atrium. We had said the right side of the heart is going to be dealing with this low oxygen condition. So I'm on path of blood through the heart. There is a diagram there. And so you're going to want to write this down because you have to know the pathway of the blood through the heart. And so we had said, what does it do? It comes from the upper part of the body into the right atrium, from the superior vena cava, write that down, and from below, from the lower portions of your body, from the inferior vena cava, and it's going to end up in the right atrium. We're going to have a valve that it's going to pass through, which is going to be the tricuspid valve. So the blood is going to pass through the tricuspid valve as it makes its way into the right ventricle. So the right ventricle is then going to pump blood to the left and right lungs, but it's going to leave through a single artery, which is going to be called the pulmonary trunk, and that's going to branch into the left and right pulmonary arteries. So from the right ventricle, it's going to pass out through the pulmonary trunk, and it's going to go to the right and to the left through right and left pulmonary arteries. Okay, so we have superior vena cava, inferior vena cava into the right atrium, tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, it leaves through the pulmonary trunk, and then it enters into the right pulmonary artery and the left pulmonary artery, and it goes to the lungs. In the lungs, it becomes oxygenated. And so, I change colors, and we're going to have blood coming back to the left atrium, via left pulmonary veins and right pulmonary veins. Now, so the left pulmonary veins come from the left lung, and the right pulmonary veins come from the right lung, and both of them end up in the left atrium. And so then in the left atrium, the blood is going to pass through a valve. It's going to pass through the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. The bicuspid valve is also known as the mitral valve. And so it's going to pass through the mitral valve or bicuspid valve into the left ventricle, and from there it is going to leave and go out throughout the body through the aorta. So it's going to then leave through the aorta. Now, we had said we have 3 circuits, and we've talked about 2 of them, right? So we had said on the right side, it's all about the pulmonary circulation. And the left side, one of its circulations is systemic. And so we had said it goes out throughout your body via the aorta. Right at the base of the aorta, right in the very bottom of the aorta, we have openings into the right and left coronary arteries. And that is where it's going to go to feed blood throughout your heart. Save the heart. So you have to know all of this. And then, this blood that went out through the aorta, throughout your body, it's going to be returning to the right atrium right after it gives up its oxygen. And it ends up, the blood that is in the heart is also going to make its way through what they call the coronary sinus. It's on the back of the heart. It's going to bring the blood also back into the right atrium. So make sure you jot all those down. So you follow all those down, because you will see pathway through the heart again, without fail, without doubt. Okay? Let me see what the next slide is. Okay. I'm going to pick up cardiac muscle, a discussion of cardiac muscle on the next video, because we're already at 14 minutes.